But we begun to see that rain-snow mix, even rain across sections of Massachusetts. Weather Channel meteorologist Mike Seidel is there monitoring it all. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Alex, no rain out here. You can forget about rain. We may get a little sleet later on, but that would be about it. It's all snow, and right now we're pushing 6 inches of snow out here in the northwest suburbs off 495, right along the beautiful Merrimack River, which kind of splits Lowell right down the middle. This is City Hall. You can see how the wind is at my back. We're getting gusts 20 to 25 miles an hour. Now at Logan, they've gusted over 40. It's 32 with wet snow. Now they had snow to rain, mixed. So in the city and near the coast, the south coast, the Cape, the islands, the South Shore, it's not going to be much of a snowstorm. Here comes another plow. Boy, these guys and gals here, they're just working OT. They're coming by about every 10 minutes. So you can see what happens when he plows. You can actually see the road surface. But not for long. In fact, I looked down the block there, and it's already covered up. That's how hard it's snowing. This is over an inch an hour, and in the upper 20s, it's pretty fluffy. So when you do throw it up, or you get some wind, you can see how it blows very nicely. But as you get towards the city, it's a much wetter snow, and then it's just kind of like white mud when you get right into Boston. Logan Airport, of course, is right on the water. So we're going to have this through this evening. Now, the winter storm warning ends at 5 a.m. The snow will continue after that, but it's going to be much lighter tomorrow. And by mid to late afternoon, we're going to be pretty much done with the snowfall. But out here, we're going to have a foot of snow or more, and then you get out towards Worcester and those hills that stick up, and that's where you could get a foot and a half of snowfall. So not the totals we saw in Jersey, but Dr. Nab, a pretty healthy storm. And speaking of the coast, we've got issues there. We've got that high wind warning for the Cape and Islands till 2 a.m. And you want to talk more about the wind pushing the water on shore along those coastal areas here in Massachusetts.
That's right, Mike. You know how.
Welcome back to the Weather Channel. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel, live in Lowell, Mass. We're northwest of Boston, where we've had rain and snow. A mixture. Temperatures are right around freezing. South Coast rain, Cape and Islands rain, but out here it's going to be all snow. Maybe some sleet mixes in, and this is where we're going to have the big numbers. We're expecting a foot or more of snowfall. We've already had 6 inches, and this snowfall rate is 1 to 2 inches an hour. I mean, you can see on the radar the bright colors here. It's just wrapping right around the low, the nor'easter. And with that nor'easter, we have a high wind warning for the Cape and also Nantucket, where they've been gusting over 40. That goes till 2 a.m. Now, when the storm goes by, Orlena, the cold air will wrap back around. So in the city of Boston, where you really have nothing on the ground at all, it's just kind of wet, it will go back to snow. You may pick up an inch or two, but by far the big numbers are going to be out here along 95, certainly north and west of 95, 495. Worcester Hills could see as much as a foot and a half of snow. Also, the winds out here have been gusting 25 miles an hour, so at times we're down to about a 1-block visibility. So this is a pretty hefty storm. We came into this, Boston was sitting right about average with about 2 feet of snow season to date. So with that in mind, we keep an eye on the accumulations, the wind, the snow. We go back to Atlanta, and you've got more on what's ahead for the rest of tonight and tomorrow as the storm pulls away. Carl?
Well, Mike, a very powerful storm, and it's going to continue to dump a lot of snow.
Conditions. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is in Lowell, Massachusetts tonight, northwest of Boston. Mike, what are the conditions like there as we're heading into tonight?
Well, they're horrible. I mean, I can tell you on the roadways, I drove in here around 5:30. It took me about 45 minutes to go 10 miles, and that's not because of a traffic jam, just because just the roads, the hills, you got to slow down, and I have an all-wheel drive vehicle. But think about this storm. We talk about coast-to-coast storms. We don't often see these with the kind of snow we had out in the Sierra earlier last week. We had, what, 4, 5, 6 feet, Mammoth Mountain. Jim Cantoria was out there. I was in Chicago. We had about a foot of snow. That was a couple of days ago. And now we're here, and we're going to get a foot or more. And earlier today, Jersey, 30 inches, our top total. So amazing swath of snow from coast to coast. And this is going to wind down tomorrow morning. Our winter storm warning here in the Boston area goes till 5 a.m. And it all depends where you are. Out here in Lowell, look at the visibility down to about 2 or 3 blocks. We're snowing at about 1 to 2 inches an hour. And you'll notice the wind, the flags continuing to blow the snow towards the camera. Occasionally we gust 25 miles an hour. We're not going to get the gust that we're seeing at the coast. Logan has gusted over 40. They're 33 right now, so a big deal when you take 5 degrees off the temperature. Also, what's going on up in the clouds. So a lot of snow out here. It's primarily powder. The plow's going by as fast as it can. In fact, we showed you a plow go by maybe, 20 minutes ago, and we already have, it looks like about an inch of snow already. So maybe it's almost 2.5 to 3 inches an hour. But bottom line is it's really coming down out here, and it's going to keep doing this through the evening hours and then slacken off overnight. Once the storm goes by the way, the cold air will wrap in, and those of you where it's raining or it's just slop like in the city of Boston, the Common, Revere, and certainly down where Plymouth is, where it's above freezing, you may go back to snow for a while. But boy, the damage out here on the roadways tonight, it's just not a good day. Good night to drive, Colleen. Everything's snow-packed, snow-covered, and when you get out away from these buildings, the wind is whipping the snow around, and that visibility can instantaneously go down to almost zero.
Just nasty conditions.
Look, we got a bevy of plows. Here we go. Take a look. So here they go. There goes one. Here goes another one, and look how much snow he's going to throw back at us right here. So we're down to the asphalt again, Colleen, but not for long. And then the sides of the roads, it's piling up as we go through this evening. Colleen, back to you.
Yeah, Mike, about to say, when we just checked in with you, the plows are going by, and so it's incredible to see how quickly that snow is still covering the road. So if you are out and you're going, hey, the roads are white right now, what's happened to the plows?
Welcome back. Good evening from Lowell, Mass. 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel, and the snow is still coming down at about an inch an hour. What a storm, Orlena. West Coast getting doused and dumped on. Big snows in the Sierra. Lots of heavy rain. It was like drought to deluge in the lower elevations of California all the way to L.A. Then we had the snows in the Midwest. Chicagoland, we were there, about a foot of snow there. Now we're in the Northeast. Parts of New Jersey had 30 inches of snow today. New York City getting at least 15 or 16, and winds gusting over 40 miles an hour, basically shutting down all 3 airports. And here in Boston, well, over in Boston, we're in the suburbs, they're getting snow right now in 32, but they've had rain and snow, and at 32, it's nothing like this as far as road conditions. The roads out here are not in good shape. They're plowing the best they can, but you can see even after they plow, they're snow-packed and snow-covered. So you can get by, especially if you have all-wheel drive on the plowed roads, but with that said, the winds pick up and you get the blowing snow and the drifting snow. And we've seen some of that with these gusts out here, 20 to 25 miles an hour. Winter storm warning goes until 5 a.m. Once the nor'easter goes by, that'll drag back the cold air. So we may see the rain go back to snow south of Boston, like in Plymouth. Cape and Islands, you're under a high wind warning until 2 a.m. Winds could gust to 60 miles an hour. Now, we were very fortunate so far today. New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, we had wind gusts about 50 out on Long Island, but power outages, 4,000 or 5,000 customers in the state, each state, that's really nothing. So we really dodged it, even though we had the heavy, wet snow. Look at this, snow everywhere. That's City Hall here in Lowell. The plows continue to come up and down Merrimack. Not a whole lot of traffic, as you can imagine, at 10 p.m. with COVID and with the snowstorm. It is just a very quiet evening here in southern New England. So let's go back to Atlanta. Carl Parker, we're going to be digging out tomorrow morning here in the suburbs. It remains to be seen how much scraping and shoveling they'll be doing in Boston, especially as you get closer to the waterfront, and certainly at Logan, which is kind of a snow sink when you think about it, because they're surrounded by that water, which is around 38 or 40 degrees.
Yeah, and that coastal front moving farther and farther to the east at this hour. Mike, thank you so much. And let's take a I want to bring in our Mike Seidel. He's been reporting on the storm in Lowell, in Massachusetts. And Mike, I'm seeing some totals coming in up around 11 to 12 to 14 inches there northwest of Boston along that 495 corridor.
It's not surprising because we've been in this band since about 7:30, 8 o'clock. Here it is after 10 o'clock Eastern, and we're snowing at 1 to 2 inches an hour. The plows continue to go by and try to keep up with the snowfall rate. They're not losing the battle. They're just kind of they're staying at par. Now, once the snowfall intensity eases off during the early hours of Tuesday morning, they'll be able to play catch up. And on Tuesday, we think the temperature is going to get just above freezing. Here they come. My gosh, on cue. He's going to go around the corner. Let's go down the corner. Joel Koblentz, our photographer out here. We'll walk down here. And now this street has not been plowed for a while, so they're really taking about 4 to 5 inches of snow off this side street here in Lowell. And there's a plow in the alley that backed up almost into the public or the city snow plow. So you can see how high it's being piled. And I know the worst thing, you've been through this if you live in a northern city where it snows, is to dig your car out and then the plow plows you back in. And then you got to dig it out again. More plows coming up the street. The visibility is about 4 or 5 blocks right now. Temperature staying right in the upper 20s. No sleet is mixed in yet. We may see some sleet. But the damage is already done, as Carl mentioned, already 10, 11, 14 inches of snow out here in this area northwest of Boston. We're at 495 and Route 3, basically, if you're familiar with the highways. And we're not far from the New Hampshire line. And we're, in the cold air, Carl, and it remains to be seen. Here comes another plow. My gosh, I should have played the lottery. Thank you. There you go. And even a honk from the plow driver, Carl. Little icing on. Oh, here comes another one. Oh, my gosh. Ching, ching here. Here we go. All right. It doesn't get any better than this, Carl.
Well, now they're just showing off for you,
I can die happy
Mike.
Now.
I think they're just showing off for you, don't you think?
Maybe. That could be true. Take that, Cantori. Take that in your thunder snow, buddy.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. And let's talk about where we go from here. And we're going to bring in our Mike Seidel. He's been reporting on the storm in Lowell in Massachusetts. And Mike, I'm seeing some totals coming in up around 11 to 12 to 14 inches there northwest of Boston along that 495 corridor.
It's not surprising because we've been in this band since about 7:30, 8 o'clock. Here it is after 10 o'clock Eastern, and we're snowing at 1 to 2 inches an hour. The plows continue to go by and try to keep up with the snowfall rate. They're not losing the battle. They're just kind of they're staying at par. Now, once the snowfall intensity eases off during the early hours of Tuesday morning, they'll be able to play catch-up. And on Tuesday, we think the temperature is going to get just above freezing. Here they come. My gosh, on cue. He's going to go around the corner. Let's go down the corner. Joel Koblentz, our photographer out here. We'll walk down here. And now this street has not been plowed for a while, so they're really taking about 4 to 5 inches of snow off this side street here in Lowell. And there's a plow in the alley that backed up almost into the public or the city snow plow. So you can see how high it's being piled. And I know the worst thing, you've been through this if you live in a northern city where it snows, is to dig your car out and then the plow plows you back in. And then you got to dig it out again. More plows coming up the street. The visibility is about 4 or 5 blocks right now. Temperature staying right in the upper 20s. No sleet is mixed in yet. We may see some sleet. But the damage is already done, as Carl mentioned, already 10, 11, 14 inches of snow out here in this area northwest of Boston. We're at 495 and Route 3, basically, if you're familiar with the highways. And we're not far from the New Hampshire line. And we're, in the cold air, Carl, and it remains to be seen. Here comes another plow. My gosh, I should have played the lottery. Thank you. There you go. And even a honk from the plow driver, Carl. Little icing on. Oh, here comes another one. Oh, my gosh. Ching, ching here. Here we go. All right. It doesn't get any better than this, Carl.
Well, now they're just showing off for you,
I can die happy
Mike.
Now.
I think they're just showing off for you, don't you think?
Maybe. That could be true. Take that, Cantori. Take that in your thunder snow, buddy.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. And let's talk about where we go from here. And we're
Welcome back to Lowell, Massachusetts. We're northwest of Boston, back in the colder air. It's been all snow here, unlike over at Logan Airport, so we've got a lot out here. This 495 corridor has already had as much as a foot or more, and what they're doing is trying to plow. This parking lot has not been plowed for quite a while, and you can see how much snow he's having to plow here at the gas station, and we're talking about 6 or 8 inches here. So a good majority of the storm is still on the ground. In fact, we had a car, if you were watching a little while ago, that got stuck coming in here because when the plows come down the street, if you've lived in a big city, or even when I grew up, you dig out the driveway and then the plow would come by and plow it back in. So the car got out, but this gentleman here is going to do a nice job and at least get the snow out of the way. Here comes another plow down Merrimack. We've been seeing this all evening. And as he comes down the street, you'll see how, you'll see how the asphalt starts to, will reappear. And there you go. You can see some, boy, I tell you what, it's deep snow. You can see some of the asphalt out there. By the way, all these roads were treated heavily with salt. But when it snows this much and it's 28 degrees, we don't have any daylight, tomorrow will be a different story. The intensity really will back off, and they'll be able to catch up, and with any kind of daylight, even with a low sun angle, it will help melting. Now we've got another vehicle here, stuck, front-wheel drive, and trying to get out of the snow. And it's, look at that. No, that's all-wheel drive, isn't it? Looks like all-wheel drive, but spinning their wheels. Well, once again, this is why we urge you on nights like this to stay home and watch the Weather Channel, because who knows how long he'll be there. All four wheels just spinning. Carl, reminds you of your sports car back in the 90s in Harrisburg again.
Yeah, you know, I'm really surprised to see
Look
that.
at that. Oh, wait a minute. We got another plow here. Look at this. Thank you, sir.
Don't get plowed, Mike.
Wow. And you know what I've noticed about snowplow operators? It seems like almost all of them, they're plowing snow and they're just wearing T-shirts. They're just, they're just chilling out there in the heated cab. But just about every plow driver here in Lowell has a T-shirt on it. I've noticed that. It just came to mind that a lot of them are just wearing T-shirts, despite the fact that they're dealing with a snowstorm tonight. And he did a U-turn and came right back up the street here. So now we're back down to the road surface. So once the snow backs off and ends, we're like this, they'll throw more salt, we'll get daylight, and the roads will be improving dramatically during the morning on Tuesday.
Hey,
Carl?
Mike, speaking of clothing, I've been meaning to ask you, you look pretty comfortable out there. So what's going on with your gear? Are you really nicely layered up? Because you don't seem like you're really that cold.
No, I'm not. I mean, it's 28 degrees.
Yeah.
When you're wearing, what have I got, 3 layers plus the jacket, which has a liner, that's literally 5 layers.
Wow.
I really don't feel a thing. And the wind chill is, 15 degrees. 2 years ago, in late January, I was in Chicago. The wind chill was 49 below. The high was 10 below zero. Now, that's cold weather. But we've been very fortunate. These snowstorms recently have been occurring with temperatures, upper 20s and low 30s. We haven't had a snowstorm. The coldest snowstorm I was in was December 29th in Des Moines, and it was about 23 or 24 degrees. Even that's not abnormally cold, or what we would consider the Arctic chill that's coming down next week for a lot of us here in the eastern 2/3 of the country.
Yeah, Mike, that is the next thing that we are definitely going to be paying attention to, because there is a chance that we're going to be in for more of the same coming up this weekend in the very same areas. Mike, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again very soon. And